My wee boy loves chickens. He's kept chickens for the last 4 years, and we didn't realise how amazing this hobby would be until we ended up in lockdown. My son managed to get the hold of an incubator, and this just kept us going through all the months where we had to isolate away from everybody else. He was able to hatch some wee chicks, and we were able to watch them hatching and then watch them grow. And now he doesn't need the incubator, he hatches the chicks under the mother, and this little hobby has just gone from strength to strength. So when it came to his birthday last year, yes, it's taken me a year to get around to editing this video. I could think of no better cake to make him, but it had to be a mother hen and her little chicks. To make this cake, I used an 8-inch cake tin and a 5-inch dome cake tin. I've set the dome cake on top of the 8-inch cakes, and then I'm going to mark out where I'm going to carve it. My son loves Nutella, so of course we had to go for chocolate Nutella flavoured icing. Then I covered the cake with some white fondant icing. I'll put some links in the description below for everything that I'm using to make this cake. With a Dresden tool now to create a feathered effect. It was at this point that I realised I needed to take a little bit off the back end. So that's no problem, I just took my knife and carved into the back, and then I filled it up with some extra icing. Now I got on to making the hen's head, and I made this with edible modelling paste. I used this tool to create some indentations on the head. And then I've gone in again and I've used that Dresden tool to create some more feathers. Now I've used a circle cutter, and I'm going to use this white piece to layer the front part of the face. I'm going to go in with some red fondant at this point as well, and I've used some flesh coloured fondant to create a beak. I used the back of one of my brushes to create an eye socket. The hens have these really weird ear things. It took a while for me to work out that they actually were ears. So yeah, that's what the white thing is inside of its head, in case you're wondering. Created the I think it's called a comb or a cone. It may be a cone, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. And this wobbly jiggly bit for under the hen's chin. I'm sure my son is going to watch this video and be horrified that after all this time I still don't know all the proper lingo for his hen's bits and bobs. Going in with some edible dust on her beak to create a little bit of contrast, and an edible marker to create little catch lights on her eyes. The handy thing about creating a cake for one of my son's chickens is that anytime I needed reference, I could just go out into the back garden and have a wee peek at his chickens. So then I started adding in these bits and pieces of fur and going in and adding some little extra details, and these are the things that make all the difference whenever you're creating cakes or cake toppers. Time to stick the head on now, and I just could not leave this hen's face alone. I just kept adding bits and pieces onto it. So I'm sure you'd agree that the head looks completely stuck on at this point, so we need to go about blending this head into the body, and how we're going to do that is we're going to add in a few layers of fondant and blend those into the body. going to add in another jiggly wobbly bit. This particular hen of my son's is black and white, so I'm going in with some edible dust now, and I'm adding in the black details. I wanted this hen to look like she was sitting in her little breeding box, so I got my son to add some wood in around the cake board, and then I've covered it in fondant, and then I added in some spaghetti, hoping that it would look like hay. Every brooder has sawdust, so here's how we're going to make some edible sawdust. I'm going to use some desiccated coconut. I have 2 bags here. I'm going to mix the 2 bags up in 2 different colours. So the first colour you could see I used some gold and some yellow and a little bit of brown. I've popped it into my food processor and I'm mixing it around. And I just kept adding in colour until I got to the right shade that I wanted. This time I'm only adding in brown. So I've got 1 bowl of the yellowy colour and then I have a bowl of completely brown. And now what we're going to do is mix these together and hopefully it's going to look like sawdust. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think it kind of does look like sawdust. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in around the base of the cake. To create some feathers, I've used a leaf cutter here. Not only did I use a feathered effect on the inside of the feather, I've used it on the outside of the feather here as well. These chickens have a funny way of changing colour whenever they're in the sun. Their black parts kind of have like a greeny sheen to them, so I added in some green luster dust there. And all these feather bits that I've made, I've left to the side to dry. I've made some white feathers and some black feathers. And now I'm going to go in that they've dried off a little bit and insert some wire inside the feathers. And then I'm going to add some black edible dust as well. Now it's time to give this hen some feathers. I would ideally like to have made a lot more feathers and placed them in and around the body of the hen, but I just didn't have time. I had all these little chicks to make. And this little guy here, he's my favourite. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.